Alright, so we've discussed what we liked and what we didn't like from Avengers Infinity War. So let's move on to Avengers 4. Now, we don't have a title for this. What do you think it's going to be? Because apparently, the reason we don't have a title for this movie yet is because it'll be too obvious to pick what's going to happen in the movie. Like, as soon as we know the title, we know what's happened. It's probably going to be something silly like Thanos dies.
Yeah. I have two. There's one that I want to happen and one that I'm pretty sure is definite. Like, this is more likely to happen. So the one that I think is more likely to happen is Avengers Endgame. And it's based on the line in the film where Tony says to Thanos, Doctor Strange, after Doctor Strange gives Thanos the Time Stone, he says, "Why did you do that?" And Doctor Strange says, "We're in the end game now." And because Doctor Strange has seen the 14,506 variations and he's only seen one outcome.
Really impressed that you remember that exact number.
I've seen the film 3 times.
Right,
so
you wanted to know that number?
I've picked that up. I don't know Cap's phone number because I know some people have actually tried to call that number and it's disconnected. I haven't done that, and I just remember that because I was wondering, like, what are the odds? Because I remember it was like 14 million, and then it was like 14,506. And so I went, that's a very oddly specific number.
It really is, yeah. I remember listening to it. I remember 14 million, but I didn't remember anything after that.
If there's a number in a superhero movie, it's usually an issue of a comic book.
Right.
Sometimes it's like that, and so it was like 14,506, and I went, well, there haven't been 506 Avengers comics, so it's obviously just a random number they pulled out of a hat. But yeah, it's usually that if you hear a number in someone's cell door is something, it's usually a comic book reference, and so I always look out for that on repeat viewings. But yeah, and so when he says it's the end game because he's seen the one variation where it plays out, like where they win. It obviously is when Thanos gets all the stones and then the Avengers reform with Captain Marvel and I think Giant Man by the looks of it and stop Thanos.
Right.
The one that I really, really want it to be is Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
That would be pretty cool.
Because it's, everyone was saying, Avengers Infinity War, it's the end of an era, it's the end of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and I never bought into it because I just went, well, we've got Avengers 4. It was originally a part 2. It's still going to be a part 2, just not called part 2.
Yes.
So I figured if, the only people that will die are people that are not the original core members. With the exception of maybe like a Cap or an Iron Man. But having the original Avengers be the ones that are left, have them be, make the final stand to Thanos, it's this great sort of end of an era, or end of their arc by calling them the moniker that people give them in the comics, which is Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
It also makes sense where, you're right, it's the end of that era where this new crop of superheroes, which were the ones that died, are the ones that are going to take on the MCU from this point forward. And the creators of the Avengers films have or the whole MCU have turned around and said that we're going to be thinking of this whole MCU from this point forward as pre and post Avengers 4.
Yeah.
And that's the way we're going to be thinking about it. Now, that obviously means that there's going to be a whole lineup, not necessarily a new lineup of characters, but a new lineup of leading characters.
Yeah, you can kind of pick who they're going to be. Like, you can imagine Avengers 4 is whatever it is. Avengers 5 is the new Avengers, which is a name of one of the teams in the comics. And it's going to be Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, the new Captain America, whoever that is, and someone else. Maybe.
Well, you think Captain America will be replaced?
I do, because it's just there's the whole this talk about Chris Evans' contract is up, and he said he wants to come back, but I feel like they've been sort of leading on this path of Cap's gonna have to pass the mantle on. I know a lot of people have said it should be Bucky or Winter Soldier. I, for one person, think it's Falcon. Because narratively, you can do more with having a black man be the lead symbol of America than a former Russian sleeper agent. Narratively...
Although it would be pretty funny to see that.
You could do some sort of Trump-Russia collusion allegation kind of thing, but you can do more with having an African-American be the symbol for America.
See, the thing is, I don't think that they will try to replace, personally, Steve Rogers at all. What I think they'll do is Steve Rogers is retired and Captain America is done.
Okay.
That's what I think. And the reason I think that, the reason I think that is because we've now seeing Captain America played by another actor,
Yeah.
even if it's part of the storyline, it'll feel strange and people will criticize it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether this guy's actually, whoever takes his place is any good or not, people are going to criticize it no matter what. And I feel like the same thing will happen if we replace Iron Man as well.
Yeah.
There's just something about it where I just can't see Iron Man being replaced. You know what they could do? They could do a pretty big time skip.
Mm.
They could do a time skip. They can make Spider-Man look a bit older. You know, say that Spider-Man is an adult now. He's not a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, Black Panther. He's an adult, yes, but you know he can still. He doesn't look that old.
I was gonna say, Chadwick Boseman, I think is like 45. He looks about 30.
Yeah.
So you could really just make it like, you know, Chadwick Boseman. You put a bit more grey in his hair, and it's like now he's 50 or 60.
Yeah. So you could do a pretty big time skip, right? And maybe there's a new Iron Man. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, it's because we don't know what's going to happen at the end of Avengers 4. We do know they're going to have to sort of rewrite the universe.
Well, the only thing we know is that there's going to be another Spider-Man movie and another Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and we assume a Black Panther movie. But again, nothing's been confirmed. It's just we assume.
Yeah.
And we also assume a Black Widow movie. But again, that still isn't really confirmed.
Yeah, like they've got a writer who's working on a script at the moment, but they don't have a script to look for a director.
And
so
most likely it'll be a prequel, like how she became Black Widow. I assume.
yeah, or it'll be like a pre-sequel thing, like, you know, she's retired, but someone is now using her methods to kill people, and it looks like it's her, like she's been the one that's causing it. So it sort of jumps back and forth of, you know, when she trained in the program, someone's now revitalized the program, so she's now got to hunt down this copycat.
What would be cool is to see Steve Rogers in that, because she has been in all of his movies pretty much, except for the first one, obviously, because that was in the 40s. But she's been in all the other two movies, and she's played a major part in them.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see him play a major part in her movie.
Yeah, sort of like flip it how...
Like, I need your help to track this person down, sort of thing.
Yeah, she's sort of like a co-lead in the Captain America films, now make him the co-lead, I guess.
Yeah, and that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, so that'd be good to see. Something like that.
It'll be. But what do you...
Or maybe he's hunting her down because he believes that she's killing all these people.
I don't...
See, that would be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of cool, but also narratively, it just wouldn't make sense. If you were like, he's hunting her down to try and, like, protect her, would make more sense, because that's what Steve would do.
Or maybe she thinks that he's trying to kill her. She just knows that she's hunting him down. Hunting her down.
Yeah, and it could be.
And then she's just running away from him.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm trying to help you, I'm trying to protect you, because if they see me, like, look up, like, sort of protect you and stand up for you, they'll maybe sort of go easy on you. Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
So, so for me, I wanted to be Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yep.
But it would most likely be something like Avengers Endgame or Secret War. Something comic book related.
I feel as if the word end will be in it, and that's probably why...
It was a spoiler.
Yeah.
Well, I think, they were saying they didn't want to reveal it before Infinity War because it would spoil Infinity War, not because it would spoil Avengers 4, is how I interpreted it. But then Kevin Feige recently came out and said it was a bad move to not reveal Avengers 4 title, because everyone's now just speculating what the title is. Like, if we had revealed the title, people would be focusing more on Infinity War instead of just...
I feel as if... That's the thing. Like, I feel as if they did that and they spoiled Infinity War in a sense, then people would be... I don't know, I think they'd be reluctant. Maybe not... They wouldn't be as shocked with the ending. Yeah. That ending, I have to admit, shocked me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had a feeling someone would be killed off. But to see 75% of the whole cast be killed off was not something that I was expecting at all.
And it's such a harrowing scene as well. Like, there's no music, there's nothing. It's just wind. It's just wind blowing and then the characters disappearing. And
I sat there thinking... Like, because they kept on going to different shots of different characters, and not everyone was dying. Yeah. So you sat there thinking, "Oh, is he going to disappear, or is she going to disappear?"
Well, for me, it was when Black Panther went to Okoye. I was like, "Oh, Okoye is going to go," and then Black Panther went. I went, "Oh shit!"
I thought the same thing. I thought she's going to go in his arms or something, and he's going to be like really traumatized by this. No, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So yeah, that really surprised me, and that's when I went, oh, we're screwed. Like, no one's gonna. It's just gonna be, very few people left. And
What I liked was Spider-Man when he disappeared, because his spidey senses told him that he was about to disappear.
And also, half the universe is also dying.
That too.
So
because
he's going insane.
Yeah, he would have been going crazy, and that's probably why he didn't feel too good.
Yeah.
Because if he had to just think about it, like everyone else just thought about it, saying, why did he notice but no one else did?
Yeah.
Because his senses allowed him to notice that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
But the only issue is he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, and it's such a great scene because apparently that was improvised by Tom Holland.
Yeah, I heard that.
And so, the director just told him, you're a teenager who is feeling like he's about to die and can do nothing, have at it. And it's such an amazing performance, and it's it's just like when he clings onto Tony, there's just so much emotion in that one action. It breaks my heart to see.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of... Obviously he comes back, because there's a Spider-Man 2. Unless they make a prequel, then he wouldn't come back.
Yeah, some people have speculated that the characters that we saw disappear, they're not dead. They're now in a different reality. And so what's going to happen... So because Thanos has the Reality Stone, he hasn't removed them from existence. He's just gone, you here, you now there. And so...
So maybe he made a mistake.
Yeah, or it's like he just sort of snapped his fingers and the gauntlet or the stone just went, cool, yeah, I can do that. And then just went, there's so much life here, just to create an entirely new universe. That's what some people have said. It seems really far-fetched to do that, to then just have this universe we've spent 19 films in just end, and then go, we're now in this new one which has the X-Men and the Fantastic Four in it.
Well, I think... because the rights are going to be Disney soon, I assume.
Yeah, probably by 2020.
They're going to... that's not that far away.
Yeah.
They're going to have to incorporate these characters in somehow, because you've bought the rights. So obviously they're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So maybe that's... because they've already mentioned that there's more than universes. They've mentioned that there's more alternative realities.
Yeah.
So that could work quite well. Maybe Thanos won in this one, but he didn't win in another one. Maybe it's like an exact copy. And as you said, they might be able to... I don't know, maybe the Thanos here in this universe figures that out and worked out that the one in the other one failed.
Yeah.
And then maybe I don't know, something like that. I've seen it happen in other multiple universe series.
Yeah. It'll probably be the first time it's done on a live-action blockbuster film.
Yeah, which is pushing a boundary that...
And as you said, it's pushing a boundary. Like, it's just... People can buy into this purple dude with a weird chin with a gold glove with gems in it, wiping out people. But I think going from one universe to another, you're going to have to do a lot of explaining to...
And that's
convince audiences.
But then, maybe if they slowly introduce it in the upcoming films, like the Captain Marvel film, for example.
Yeah, maybe.
Because she is not anywhere in the MCU yet.
Yeah.
And she got her powers in the early 90s, apparently.
And,
So, where has she been? Maybe she's in another universe, and that's how they introduce this whole another universe thing. Maybe even Ant-Man in there. That movie comes out soon. There might be a possibility that we sort of introduce it slowly, so then it's not such a big shock in suddenly the Avengers film, where it's like, oh, now there's alternative universes. Like, oh, we already knew that there were.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be someone gets the gauntlet. To me, I think it's going to be Tony. He's going to get the gauntlet back, and then he's going to snap his fingers and fix everything.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Which is an easy fix to the problem, and also narratively, it's a good end to his arc of how he's been trying to protect people his entire life, and every time he's done so, he's created more problems. Like, he tried to protect the world, he created Ultron.
Yes, that was a big mess up.
So this is sort of his this is my final act, this is my swan song. I can protect people with this gauntlet, and I will, and sort of snaps his fingers, and the power is just so much it just disintegrates him.
Yeah, I feel like he will die.
Yeah.
But I also feel like he will... something like he'll load his consciousness into I think you mentioned it, where into a suit that he has already pre-designed. Maybe he assumed he was going to die, something like that, where because he's got the gauntlet, so anything that he thinks of he can just do, right?
Yeah.
So in theory he can just do it. He doesn't necessarily need to create the technology in order to do it.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is have a vessel and go, I want my consciousness there.
Yeah.
I control everything.
Yeah, or like space, time, and reality.
So I can make this happen, even if it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
And then, so he sort of lives on, but not really. Like his physical body's destroyed, but his soul lives on.
Yeah.
And that could be how they incorporate him in the future films, because he's getting older.
Yeah.
He's getting older, and it makes sense to retire him, but I feel like his relationship's going to really struggle after that.
Yeah. Well, in
He's struggled for like 5 movies.
Yeah, it's sort of been up and down with like everyone he's sort of had an up and down relationship with. But in the comics, after the events of Civil War II, he's put into a coma. And so is it revealed that he had created an AI system that's based off of his own brain. So he then lives on as the AI suit in the next Iron Man, which is Riri Williams, who is a African-American teenager who builds her own suit, and then Tony is sort of aware of this and recruits her into like the Stark internship thing and lets her be the new Iron Man while he's the voice in her ear. And that's something I think will happen, is you kind of want to keep Robert Downey Jr. alive, but as you said, he's getting a bit old, he can't do a lot of the physical stuff. You just make him an AI, you just stick him in a recording booth for 2 to 3 hours, record some lines a day. And
well, they don't even need to do that. We've seen in the Star Wars films, they digitally remake the voices based off recordings in the past.
Yeah.
They probably don't even have to do that. You can just get his voice and create the lines yourself, using a computer. So, it'd be easier to do it that way, but you don't have to even do it that way.
Yeah, so that's probably what's going to happen. But we've touched on them, and so I think we should sort of address the elephant in the room, which is the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. So we sort of talked about what we think will happen in Avengers 4. We talked about the title. What's going to happen beyond that?
My problem with the X-Men is that if you bring in that X-Men universe into the MC universe, why weren't there more civilians fighting against these aliens?
Yeah.
And that's in Avengers 1. That's the thing that gets to me instantly.
Yeah.
Where was Magneto?
Yeah.
These guys were coming in on giant metal spaceships.
Yeah.
Where was he? He definitely could. Ultron, largely made of metal, and anything he forms into is usually metal. Things like that, where you just sat there and you think, it could have really been helpful. Where were they?
Yeah.
That, to me, I just don't think it'll fit. That's why I believe that post-pre thing, where Avengers 4 ends, and then there's a big time skip.
Right.
Where they could reintroduce all these mutants, they could introduce all these things. Where maybe something happens when Tony, clicks the gauntlet, and maybe in his mind he thinks, I'm going to give humans powers.
Yeah, or he's going to create life.
Yeah,
he does.
Because humanity is just, they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I'm going to also give them a defense mechanism, and that's where the Avengers come in. That's where X-Men come in, and that's where Fantastic Four come in from that point forward.
Right.
Right. And that's what I think. I think there's going to be a big time skip, and that's why it's going to be pre-post.
Yeah.
Right. But does that mean that most of these characters won't exist in the MCU? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably because they'd be way too old. Yes. That could be how Steve Rogers is retired. That could be how the other characters are retired. It's been 20 years, something like that, where it's been a significant amount of time and it makes sense. Yeah. The only issue is all the X-Men movies had events that happened in the 60s and stuff like that. So that...
Yeah, well...
None of those stories would exist, obviously, because it's made by someone else, but they'd have to completely rewrite. So you'd have to think of those movies as, they were good, but they're not part of this.
It's like sort of like the multiverse thing of, here's the X-Men universe, here's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, here's the MCU.
Yes.
That's probably how you could do it, which leads into how I think it's going to happen, which is, again, it's sort of the possibility is that Tony's going to get the gauntlet, snap his fingers, things are going to be really different. I'm not going to think of like a time jump, but just, there's going to be a Baxter building, which is the Fantastic Four's home. Like that's just going to appear in the New York skyline,
Right.
and so people are like, maybe like someone like Thor, who is sort of been in both pre and post Avengers 4, is like, the hell is this? Like, where did this come from? And it's just like, oh, it's Tony. He's created a mimic of himself and Reed Richards, this sort of egotistical, larger than life, brilliant genius. And you can then also include like the effects of like the people that were wiped out from Thanos. They're brought back. They've been affected by that, and so they then have mutations, which is something you could do.
I mean, that can make sense. That does make sense.
The other possibility is that you have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four in one universe, and the Fantastic Four, instead of having it, they went into a rocket ship and went into space. They're trying to breach the multiverse. So, like, Reed Richards, he creates this portal, which opens up a portal into the MCU. It then gives them their powers, and you can have access between the two universes.
Well, what if... Okay, I'm going to really spitball here. What if Thanos convinces Tony that this is the right thing? His whole plan. So let's just say Tony, sees... We don't know when the events of Avengers 4 is going to take place. It could happen the next day. It could happen in a year's time. It could happen in 5 years' time. We don't know, right? So what happens if it happens in 5 years' time? 6 years' time? And Tony starts to see, actually, people are doing okay. There's less poverty. There's less, and then that they see over the universe, like the whole galaxy, that actually this is a good thing. Maybe he was onto something. But at the same time, I can't accept that all these people had to be killed. Yeah. So we have to bring them back. But so when maybe he knows about the alternative universes, and like you said, opens that portal or fuses them. So he snaps his fingers, and then suddenly those universes are one. Yeah. And there's double the amount of space. There's less poverty. Blah blah blah. Yeah. But when he did that, it also meant that everyone else in that universe is now in this universe. Yeah. And that's how you bring in the X-Men event, because they were in that universe and now they're here.
Brought them over. Yeah.
So that's another opportunity to introduce them into that sort of universe.
So it's...
Because Tony's got that... He's got a weird mindset. Like
like as we sort of touched upon, every time he tries to help someone, more people get put into danger.
Yes.
He tries to create this AI system which can operate and protect the world. He ends up creating Ultron.
Yes.
And it's just sort of like, he tries to protect his girlfriend / fiancée, and Pepper, she ends up being injected with some fire serum thing and then becomes immortal for a bit and then has her powers taken away. It's kind of like, he has kind of like Thanos, he has good intentions, but he just poorly executes them.
Well, telling the world he was Iron Man and telling them his address was not necessarily the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, he's book smart, he's not street smart.
No, he's not. No. He's more like, I'll take you all on.
Yeah.
Not be wearing his suit while he does it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few years.
Yeah, so as one thing, what are you most excited for about in Avengers 4?
Still the Tony and Winter Soldier reunion. I need to see it. Is this just? I don't care if it's a split second. I need to see it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's seeing an epic Captain Marvel moment. I know her film is coming out before it, but I feel like it's going to be a generic origin story. Whereas in Infinity War, it's going to be 10, 20 years since that. She's sort of more mature in her powers.
Actually, it's a very good point.
She could do some really epic stuff, like sort of she like flies into Thanos and like their fist, like the gauntlet in her fist, and she just shatters it.
Which could undo everything. That could be the undoing. That could actually be the undoing moment.
And it's because like the fact that she was the post-credit scene implies she has a much bigger part to play in this than we're going to assume. She's going to be the catalyst that changes everything. Right. And she's going to be sort of pre-post. She's going to be post Avengers 4. She's the character of the next 3 phases of the MCU.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.